Hi, my name is Sue Pigeon, and I am the owner of A Pebble in the Pond Health Coaching. And I help people realize that they do have within themselves the power to reclaim their health. And health is really our wealth. So, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I never started off to be a health coach. I was an elementary school teacher, and I was very happy in that job. If I think back when I was really young, I thought about being a nurse at one point because I had this cute little golden book called Nurse Nancy. And Nurse Nancy went around and she was making everybody feel better by putting band aids on them. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be great to help people to feel better? And I wanted to be a nurse. My favorite color was red. The world was wonderful. And then somewhere along the way, I kind of figured out that, they were putting band aids on over things that were bleeding and blood was red. And I didn't really want to deal with blood. And I decided maybe that wasn't the career for me and thought maybe I'll be a movie star or something. But over time, I found that I started having odd little things that would come up. Some were a little more concerning than others. I dealt with things like acid reflux and pressure in my chest. I visited a cardiologist and so on. I had chronic sinus infections and pneumonia a few times, one time really pretty severely, and just kept thinking, I guess that's just the way it is, or I'm getting older. And one day I thought, geez, my eyesight is not good. I must need new glasses because I couldn't look at a computer screen anymore. My eyes were very irritated. I couldn't focus. They were very watery. So I visited the optometrist who said, "No, your prescription's fine. You're fine. Take some eye drops. You'll be okay. Maybe some Restasis if that doesn't help." But I kept getting more and more. This snowball was rolling faster down the hill, and I started having things like really dry nasal passages, and my mouth would be just like the Sahara Desert. And it felt like I couldn't breathe, that there was a lump in my throat. I had all of these things going on. And so finally, I had been to visit my ear, nose, and throat doctor because I was trying to get off of one of the nasal sprays I'd been on for years, thinking maybe that was causing the problem. And he mentioned that perhaps I had an autoimmune condition called Sjogren syndrome. Hadn't heard of it before, didn't really know what it was, but he sent me off for a blood test, and that test didn't come back positive. If you've been traveling the road of autoimmune disease, that probably sounds familiar to you. It can take a really long time. It can take 5 to 7 years to actually get a diagnosis of an autoimmune disease. But he'd at least put me on the track of looking into autoimmune disease. And eventually I found myself working with a holistic doctor who really listened to me. She spent time with me. I spent an hour with her, and she wanted to know all kinds of things about me. And she sent me off for some tests thinking that there might be something going on with my thyroid. Sure enough, after a visit to the endocrinologist, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is another autoimmune condition where your body is supposed to be attacking your thyroid gland, which did explain a lot of the symptoms and things that I was having. So I started doing some research on autoimmune diseases, and I really hadn't had much of any knowledge or background with them at all. But I started to learn some things, so I wanted to share with you today some statistics about autoimmune diseases. So the National Institute of Health and the American Autoimmune Related Disease Association have estimates on how many people in the United States live with chronic autoimmune diseases. And they estimate between 23.5 and 50 million Americans suffer with these conditions. There are between 80 and 100 known autoimmune diseases. And usually these things are chronic and they can be life-threatening. Researchers suspect that at least another 40 diseases have an autoimmune basis, one of those being Alzheimer's disease, which is so much on the rise these days. And autoimmune diseases are actually one of the 10 leading causes of death for girls and women of all age groups. And beyond official autoimmune diseases, chronic disease in America is definitely also on the rise. 6 in 10 adults in the United States have a chronic disease. That's more than half of our population. That's huge. 4 in 10, 40%, have 2 or more. The thing about autoimmune diseases also is that if you get one, you usually get more. It's kind of like collecting charms on a bracelet that you don't really want to have. And there's $3.8 trillion spent annually in healthcare costs in the United States that include these major chronic illness drivers: heart disease, cancer, chronic lung disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and chronic kidney disease. So as I was doing some research and trying to learn about autoimmune diseases, what Sjogren's syndrome was, and then what Hashimoto's thyroiditis was, and seeing what I could do, I wanted to feel better. I wanted to get back to my life again. I ran across a book called The Autoimmune Solution by Dr. Amy Myers. And on the cover page, it said, "Prevent and reverse the full spectrum of inflammatory symptoms and diseases." Well, that sounded like it was right what I was looking for. So I sent off and ordered this book and devoured it. And what I read in this book was life-changing for me. It was scary to read about the conditions and what can happen, and to read about causes. But I started to learn that we did have an idea what the causes were of autoimmune conditions, and that there were things that we could control to improve our quality of life. We might not ever officially get rid of our autoimmune disease, but we could put it into remission, and we could go about living our lives again. And this was the hope that I was looking for. And the book did a wonderful job of explaining some of the things that are contributing to autoimmune diseases, and then also giving me a specific program to follow to try to return myself to health. So I dove in, and I did a number of things. I eliminated foods that I was sensitive to. I cleaned up my household products and my beauty care products that had been full of toxins to make them less toxic. I changed out my cookware to get rid of toxins from that. I cleaned up my water. I started moving. I started focusing on reducing stress. And these things really started to turn around what was going on. I started nourishing my body with the kinds of foods that it really needed. And it was amazing for me to watch the changes that happened. It wasn't immediate, and it wasn't always a smooth road. It had its ups and downs. Some days were good, some days weren't so good. But I did find pretty rapidly, when my body was given what it needed and the things that were causing interference were removed, that my life started returning to that good health that I really wanted to. And for me, there was just no going back at that point. And I had found that I'd stopped dreaming before I had found this book. I had just been stuck in, there's not much I can do. I didn't like the choices that were out there. The choices that were out there that were offered to me by our standard medical model were things like, you can take this medication that might reduce your symptoms. That was really about all that they had to offer. Sometimes maybe a surgery, but the drugs that they would give you would often have negative side effects, and after a while they would probably stop working as your illness progressed. One of the major types that they would offer would be immunosuppressant drugs, which suppress your immune system, which is not so great because there's a lot of other things that our immune system is really important for. So I had stopped hoping and dreaming, but this book let me to dream and realize my future was brighter than I had been led to believe. And I like this quote that I want to share with you: miracles start to happen when you give as much energy to your dreams as you do your fears. As I mentioned, when I was reading that book, I was scared. I was scared when I got diagnoses, and I was scared when I started researching, and I was scared by all the things out there that could be contributing to my ill health. But I had hope. Dr. Myers told her story of recovering from an autoimmune disease, and she gave me strength, hope and a specific way to help myself. So I mentioned some of these things, but what are some of those things that can cause our bodies to end up in these chronic illnesses? One of them is food sensitivities. When our body is reacting to things that we're eating, that's causing us problems. Stress is a major trigger for all kinds of illnesses, and there is so much stress in our world these days. Poor sleep. If you're not giving your body the restorative sleep that it needs, then it doesn't have the opportunity to do the repair work that it needs to do while you're sleeping. Toxins. I mentioned toxic chemicals and substances that are in our beauty care and our household cleaning products, and even in our cookware and so on. And in our food. Our food supply is really full of toxic pesticides, and that is a major contributor to problems. Infections. I had mentioned that I was chronically having sinus infections, pneumonia. I had strep a lot when I was a kid, and a lot of those infections can lay latent in your body, and then when you are under stress, they can mount up and create more havoc for your body. And something called gut dysbiosis, when the community of bacteria and microorganisms that live in our digestive tract get out of balance. So for example, when I was sick a lot and taking those antibiotics, antibiotic really means against life. Yeah, they can be very helpful. They can save people's lives, but they do not discriminate between the good guys and the bad guys. We are supposed to have a balance in our digestive tract. They help us to break down our food. They help to create neurotransmitters for our feel-good hormones. And when we eliminate a lot of bacteria, then there are some bacteria that will come back stronger, and they're often what we call opportunistic. So they're the ones that are going to take advantage of that situation where the good guys are kind of wiped out, and they're going to overgrow, and that can definitely lead to issues. So the type of medicine that Dr. Amy Myers practices is called functional medicine. And that may be a term that you haven't heard of before. It is a branch of medicine that has come off of our standard traditional Western medicine, but it has kind of changed the focus. So I want you to imagine a tree. And if you think of our standard medical system today, the branches of the tree represent the specialists that we have. You have your gastroenterologist, you have your endocrinologist, your cardiologist, and so on, your hematologists, immunologists, your neurologists. So what we have done in our standard model is taken the body and broken it down into component parts. You know, you have your digestive tract, you have your heart and your blood vessels, you have your lungs and your trachea and your nasal passages. And we break them down, and then doctors become specialized in their area, which can be helpful, but it tends to create this disjointed view of the body. And there tends to not be a lot of communication that happens between these specialists. And once you've got to an autoimmune state, you might be bouncing around from several of these specialists. On the other hand, functional medicine really wants to dig into what is the root cause. Traditional medicine really looks at what are your symptoms. Can we give you a diagnosis based on the symptoms that you have? Can we give a name to the illness? And what are those symptoms? And then how do we treat those symptoms? It often doesn't really get to why you're having those symptoms. Functional medicine does. It digs into the root causes. It looks back on your history and what's been going on for you, and starts to see patterns in your life that can help them to understand what triggered you to get to where you are today. And that tree analogy, if you think of the roots of the tree is not going to survive well if the roots aren't healthy, right? The roots are the foundation. They're what hold the tree up, that bring in the nutrients, that keep the tree stable from winds and from erosion and so on. Well, We have roots to this functional medicine tree too. They include things like sleep and relaxation, exercise and movement, good nutrition, working with stress and reducing stress, and relationships, your relationship to yourself, to your family, your spouse, your friends, your coworkers, your boss. All of these things are really important. And when we have things that are happening within the roots, our foundation, that are not well, then that can trigger more and more issues for our health. So I want to share this quote from David Joseph Schwartz. Believe it can be done. When you believe something can be done, really believe, your mind will find the ways to do it. Believing a solution paves the way to that solution. It was when I read this book and then believed that there was a solution for me that I was able to dream again, and that belief took me down the pathway to finding my own solution. But just having read the book, knowledge itself is not enough. I needed a vision, but a vision without action is really just a dream. And action without a vision just passes time, but vision with action can change the world. So I needed to take the knowledge that I had and then apply it to my life before I found the success that I had. So as a functional medicine health coach, I help you dig in to work the solution. And that would include looking at and helping you to do things like eliminate problem foods, to make sure that the water that you're drinking is clean and that you're drinking plenty of it. That we work on looking at what are your household and beauty products and cleaning them up so that you're reducing your toxic load. We talk about things like how to manage stress and how do we support digestion and make sure you have a healthy gut microbiome. And we work on helping you to improve your quality of sleep. So food really is medicine. Even Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine. I think all of these components are so important, but if you're not giving your body the nutrition that it needs, then you can't expect it to be healthy. So I want to talk a little bit about what are called phytonutrients. So if you picture a rainbow with all those beautiful colors in it, our fruits and vegetables can be all of those colors of the rainbow. And each one of those colors, called phytonutrients, has lots of wonderful healing abilities within it. So phytonutrients in our foods are anti-inflammatory, they are anti-cancer, antibacterial, they support immune health and cognitive health, they protect our cells, they support eye health, liver health, hormonal health, gastrointestinal health, and more. So one quick thing that you can do is just to look at what you're eating. Are you eating fruits and vegetables? If you are, how many colors are you eating each day? Do you tend to eat potatoes and maybe once a day maybe have a piece of fruit, or once a day have some corn or green beans, and the rest of the food that you're eating is not fruits and vegetables? Are you eating purple foods? Are you eating red foods? Are you eating yellow foods and orange foods, white and tan foods? Each color has its own specific things that it can help support your body in. So it's really important to eat from a variety of those. Now, here's a chance for you to use your creativity. The next time you're in the grocery store, go in the produce section and spend some time just looking at the beautiful colors that are there. And try to fill your cart up with foods from each of those colors. And maybe it's an opportunity to explore. Try something that you've never tried before. Even if you don't know what to do with it while you're in the store, it's so easy to just go on something like Pinterest and search for recipes that would use that item that you bought and try something new. It might bring some fun into your family, and it definitely is going to bring in some healing to your body through the properties that are there. Try to include all the rainbow colors each day if possible, and you might see some really amazing changes in your health. So, specifically, we're going to dig into those things if I'm working with you as your health coach. But what am I going to do for you? Well, I'm going to help you to dream a better dream of health. I'm going to help you to dream again. If you've been sick for a while, you probably have shrunk your world down into what seems like maybe it's manageable, and you've stopped envisioning that full, vibrant life that you really want. So I'm going to help you to dream again. I'm going to help you to set goals that are goals that'll fit specifically with you and your lifestyle and your family and what's going on for you, that's going to help lead you to success. And we'll work together on those, and we'll adjust them as need be so that they're bringing you exactly what you need. I'm going to help you to leverage your personal character strengths to help you to overcome obstacles along the way, because let's face it, it's not always going to be a smooth road. I'm going to help you discover solutions that fit you and fit your life, that are tailored to you. I'm going to help you to be accountable to the steps to make your dreams a reality. I'll be your accountability partner. So you have somebody checking in on you to make sure that you're accomplishing what you choose. And I'm going to help you learn to practice self-compassion and celebrate success. We're often not very nice to ourselves. We might say nice things and encouraging things to others, but how many times have you caught yourself saying, oh, I'm so bad at this, or I'll never be able to do this, or there I go again? When you are having negative self-talk, you're telling your body, your mind, your cells that this is the way it is and that it's negative, and your body believes you. So you need to start telling your body positive things. You need to be really focusing on positive with that. And we're going to celebrate success, and that doesn't mean we're going to wait until you have accomplished a major goal. There's little successes every single day. So each day we're going to be looking for, where was I successful today, and celebrating that fact. And I'm going to help you learn to be better at managing stress. As I said, stress is a major trigger for all kinds of health issues. So we can't eliminate stress. It's going to be part of our lives no matter what. But can we find ways to reduce stress? Can we find ways to deal with stress when it comes in a way that's more positive for us and those around us? And if we think of success, setting goals and gaining success as a straight road, well, we need to modify that, because we know it's going to be a little bit more up and down, where there's going to be hills and valleys along the way. And we need to celebrate when we're on the tops of those hills, but we know it was hard work to get there. And when we're down in those valleys, we need to be ready to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and get started again. And I just want you to know that you deserve to be healthy. I want you to love yourself enough to create your own transformation for your life. And there is a happier, healthier you that's waiting. So I'd love to be in touch with you. I would love to help support you along your journey to making your dreams a reality once again. So I will put in the comments below links where you can find me on Facebook, on DowCloud, Alignable. I'll give you an email address, and you can call or text me. And what I would like to offer for you is a free discovery call. So we could get on a call, spend some time together, 20 minutes, and really look at what it is that's going on for you and how I might be able to help you with that, and decide if working together would be a good fit for us. So I hope you have a wonderful, blessed day. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Please reach out, because there is a better life out there waiting for you. You just have to be ready to reach out there and grab a hold of it, and I'll help you along the way. Have a wonderful day.